Oh wow, I got a bigger response to this than I expected. So, hey guys, this is MPig, and I am going to do my Q&A now. It's so exciting. I got so many different questions from so many different people, and honestly, I might not be able to get to all of you yet, and I might not be able to answer all of your questions because there are so many of them, but, you know, this kind of stuff is what I live for. This is the excitement of blogging, is being able to basically communicate with you guys. That's what I think is so great about YouTube in the first place. So, without further ado, let's go into Sukasa2K6's questions, or a couple of his questions. What are the recent animes are you watching? Interesting use of pronunciation there. Alright, right now I have two shows that I'm actually looking into. One is Chobits, which I'm about 6 episodes in. It's really cute, but it's also quite a bit of a guilty pleasure. I mean, there's an insane amount of fan service in the show. A lot less than there is in the manga, which honestly I wasn't able to get through because I felt, at the time, you have to understand, this is before I had been completely desensitized by a lot of other anime and manga. But at the time I was reading Chobits, originally about 3 years ago, I ended up putting it down because it sort of creeped me out. It really creeped me out. Now I'm watching the anime, which is a lot softer, and honestly I relate to the characters more than I do in the manga anyways, which is strange because usually it's the other way around. I've heard there's a lot more filler in the anime, supposedly, but so far I pretty much doubt that I'm going to spot it since I never really got into the original source material to begin with. But I love Chi. Who doesn't love Chi? I mean, she's just adorable. She kind of reminds me of Data from Star Trek if he was like retarded and sexy. That's pretty much the best way to describe her. And she's got that sort of, I don't know why, I think maybe this is a Japanese thing, but she keeps on repeating her name over and over, almost like a Pokemon. Chi? Chi? At first she just started saying that, and then he decided, oh, I'm going to name you Chi, because you keep on saying it over and over again. But even after that, she still says Chi at, like, the most inappropriate times, just to sound adorable. Hideki, who is the main character who ends up stumbling into this PersonaCon or Persona, whatever. He ends up running into basically these computer systems that are made to look like really attractive female humans. And so he finds one just kind of laying in the dumpster one day, and he decides, oh wow, who would throw this out? I'm going to take it home. He takes it home and realizes it's not just a normal computer. This one it acts really weird. It's very unusual. So it's very much him connecting with basically a computer so far. I'm sure there's probably going to be something a lot deeper like that, like she actually feels real human emotion or something, but we'll see. I think the guy who voiced Hideki is the same guy who also voiced Kyon and The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, but don't hold me down to that. I have pretty much no idea. It just sounded familiar. I was like, oh, it's Kyon, but maybe that's just like me picking out patterns where there aren't any. I can relate to the show a lot. You know, Hideki's recent procrastination fits in very well with my own procrastination that I love to do, like making YouTube videos when I should be studying. But the show can be a little over the top in the fan service area sometimes, but it's still really quite charming, and I would recommend, like, if you like this sort of thing, sort of like Oh My Goddess and those sorts of shows, definitely check it out. The other show I'm watching is Ra Exiphone or something. It's a mecha show. You should be able to tell what it is from the picture I'm going to put up. Basically, I've only seen one episode, and it was in the English dub for the episode. But I must say that from what I saw, it looks pretty fantastic. The mecha anime are cool, just in general. So when you get me down to something like this, I can't help but get a little excited. It's very Evangelion feeling. I had to endure a little bit of the English dub, which wasn't particularly great. One of the female characters definitely grated on my nerves. But, you know, it didn't really kill it for me either. I love the soundtrack so far. Oh my god, the soundtrack is nice and orchestral, which is why I love in a good anime. You've got to have that sweeping sort of sound to draw me in. You can't go wrong with Studio Bones. I mean, usually they have not only like the best soundtracks, but the best anime, period. I've learned that I've connected the most with Studio Bones' productions, by far, out of most of the anime that... And his second question here is, Haruhi Season 2 thoughts? The Endless 8, making a funny little silly face on top of that. If you were to cut out Endless 8 from the second season of The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. I would say it was a fantastic half of a season. If you keep Endless 8 in there, the whole season just crumbles apart. It was a massive disappointment. It was a slap in the face to the fan base. I was actually going to address this in a video someday, but I really don't. You know, so many people have talked about why Endless 8 sucks. I feel it's kind of pointless to really go in and analyze it all that much more. I mean, okay, you're basically repeating, for the most part, the same episode over and over again, just with different animation and some slight variations, very slight. That's not good enough for a second season of Haruhi. It's a really bad gimmick. I don't understand who in all of Kyoto Animation thought that was a good idea to do that particular sort of plot line. Why not just keep on adapting great stories from the book? What we ended up learning later is that they wanted to make Disappearance into a movie, which I'm sure is probably a really good film. But still, I'm looking at it going, couldn't you have taken another story from this long line of books? I think it's like 11 books now or something. But there's plenty of Haruhi stories to adapt or invent. Why did you take one story, which was actually a short story in the original book, and completely blow it up to take up more than half of the season? It's ridiculous. It's absurd. And honestly, whoever thought of that should be fired, in my opinion. It's one of those things where this is not just like creative injustice. It's not just lazy. It's almost as if they were intentionally trying to piss us off. So, yeah, in general, Season 2 of Haruhi was disappointing. Now, if you can please forgive Endless 8, which is extremely hard to do, you'll find that there's about, I think there's like 6 episodes that are actually really, really good, funny, up to the same par of the original Season 1. So they still have the spark. They just made a huge, huge misstep. So I'm still looking forward to whatever else Kyoto Animation comes out for The Melancholy of Haruhi, or the Haruhi Suzumiya series, I should say. The franchise. But, you know, I'm a little bit cautious since apparently they really don't know what they're doing all the time. Alright, I have a little bit more time for one more quickie. Let's go to another user. WolfMoon23 asks, what do you think about political animes or animes with strong political messages? Alright, here's my thing with political messages in fiction in general. It has to be deeply ingrained within the story. You can't just take a political message and disguise it as a story and expect me to be okay with it. I feel this way about anything that incorporates global warming, the environment, such and so forth, the Iraq war, any sort of fiction that uses that sort of stuff, like modern political things, and just try to disguise it as a plot, even though they're basically preaching to you like the U.S. government is evil, or the Japanese government is evil, or whatever political message they're trying to convey. Now, you see, the masterminds of storytelling, though, are able to incorporate political or environmental messages without it being terrible. Like, look at Hayao Miyazaki's work, Nausicaa, Princess Mononoke. There's definite, very, very definite environmental messages in those. But, you know, the stories are so fantastic, and the messages are so well rooted in the core of the story's themes that it doesn't matter that they might be a little bit preachy, because you're going along with it. When Nausicaa says something that's... This is what I do when I go unscripted. When Nausicaa says something... Okay, when you hear Nausicaa giving you a message, you buy it, because it's Nausicaa, and you love that character, and you love the world, and you care about what's going to happen, as opposed to something like Fern Gully, which is... that isn't necessarily anime, but the political message is so obvious, and they hit you in the face with it so hard that it almost becomes insulting. Now, if Fern Gully had actually created a really great story with fantastic characters, that would be a little bit different. But since it didn't, it comes across horribly. Horrible, horrible movie. I hate Fern Gully. I really do. But Princess Mononoke and Nausicaa? Hell yeah. Hayao Miyazaki is the master of that kind of stuff. Alrighty, this is MPig, and I am signing out. Was only able to answer 3 questions. Wow. I guess that should be the pattern for when I do these 3 questions an episode. Woohoo! Woo-ha.